Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, General Campbell. Wish you all the best. I think we'd all like to someday talk about something other than war in Afghanistan. It's a most remarkable country. I know as I've been there and flown over it, and you look down, you can imagine what a very different place it could be if we could only finally get to a place where the country is more stable as we focus on keeping it and preventing it from becoming, yet again, a safe haven for potential attacks on this country. That's always been our motivator. But I have to say, in my last visit home, we were just back in our districts for a couple of weeks, I had an opportunity to meet with a support group for families of those who'd served, both in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it was really a reminder, as I know it is for all of us who meet with these families, that what a shared sacrifice it is, that as their young people go and serve and come back, the struggles are not over, and that these families have long-term commitments to their young people who've served in our behalfs, and everybody tries to come together to move them to another place in their lives. That's something all of us always have in the backs of our minds. And also in my many visits there, we can't help but feel good about the many gains that have been made. We've talked about the gains for women. I've been to schools where you've seen the opportunities that creates for their young children. It's remarkable, really. So we all feel pride, and in meeting with Afghans, too, what pride they feel for those gains that they have achieved. But I also now, we're hearing more about fear. They're becoming yet more afraid. And as we struggle with what our way forward should be, all along the emphasis has been on our Afghan National Security Forces. I can remember as a surge was put in place, being in Afghanistan and meeting with some of the young recruits and understanding what an extraordinary challenge it was going to be to train and equip these young people to get them to a place where they could replace the very professional efforts that we have brought to it. And so I'm just wondering, even as you talk about how a 5-year plan might be an appropriate way forward, the issue of attrition has been an ongoing one. So given the challenge, as you bring in, you train and equip, you get these people up to a place, then you lose them. There's the cost to the billions of dollars spent on the effort. But also, I think we have to be realistic about what that attrition rate really, the impact it has on our long-term ability to transfer and be secure that this is a durable transfer to a security force that hasn't yet demonstrated that it can recruit and keep a security force that is up to the task. How are you dealing with the attrition rate? And I think it's also has to be complicated by the death rate. I mean, I read alarming numbers of losses, and I can't imagine how that reverberates across Afghanistan as families are sending their people off to fight. Rightfully so. I mean, this has to come down to them. But how are you dealing with those two elements?
Thank you for the question, ma'am. Attrition is one of the areas, one of the reform areas we work very hard with the Afghans. It's a couple different components. For me, it really gets down to leadership and holding leaders accountable to take care, understand their young men and women that join their services. They don't have the non-commissioned officer corps that we have in all of our services that really look at that discipline. If you recruit somebody in Badakhshan way in the north, put him down in Helmand and let him sit there for 3 years and fight, you know, he's not going to have the attitude that I want to continue to serve and stay there. You know, he has to be able to get on a cycle that he can sustain, to be able to train, be able to go see his family, and then fight. And they don't have that in their conventional Army. We're working toward that. That's one of the reforms.
What is the attrition rate at this point, just a number?
Ma'am, I can come back to you with an exact number. The last couple of months, the recruiting has gone up. They're recontracting, what we would call reenlistment, keeping people in after their first term has gone up. So that's offset some of the attrition, but it continues to be an issue. They can recruit they can train about 6,000 a month if they recruit that much. They'll maintain levels, no issue. But again, it gets down to leadership. They do have a working group, and we've had a task force on attrition headed by their Vice Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Murad Ali. We have advisors that meet with him all the time to work on different issues to get after the recruiting and the recontracting. We brought experts from our recruiting command and the United States Army to Afghanistan for a very short time to take a look at all the processes and systems they have to make sure we can adjust those as they move forward. But it's putting attention on it, and President Ghani is starting to hold Corps commanders and other leadership accountable to really get after attrition. But it's going to take some time to continue to build that, but I think they do have the focus on that now.
Mr. Kaufman?